such a nice program in so many ways. But I want the 2 salts that are the last fires taken to be the one that ends up here in this end of the multi-bonder, and the one that ends up on the bottom of this one. But I'm going to attach it first so that I can swing the rest of the atom around, or rest of the molecule around. And because of that swing, I feel like one of the inputs needs to be here. That's pretty limiting, though, to get it to the rest of the stuff. I could possibly have that one set aside earlier through something like this, just 4 hands off this so that there's pretend 2 inputs here on the last cycle, but then I need to be able to do something with this on the last cycle, but I probably could. See, I'm swinging about this point, and the furthest, yeah, that won't be in the way of any swing. So this last one there might be something like that. So that and that and that will all get added on that cycle. Let's see, I need to snag 2 early fires from here to add here, and I need to snag 2 early fires from here to add to here. And 3 is already in a position to start moving that. 3 doesn't get to take a break, so I won't have it drop it. As is, this can't do it. There's no way to bring it directly into there, and that's a deal breaker. So 5, you have a little bit of a busier job. You have to go on a track. 5, advance, swing down, drop, swing up, on advance. It'll add that one last instead. I get 10 cycles, so I could have it just deposit another one here for an arm that looks something like this. That should be able to complete. Yeah, that should be able to do things. What did I have 6 doing? Oh, I meant to give those instructions to 7. 6 doesn't exist. So looks good to me. The weird one will be getting this atom in place. But right now, this is not looking that bad. I was really intimidated by optimal unstable compound at first. I don't have the opportunity to bring another one directly from here to here, so I will need to have a second triplex. And 3 will have to do a bit of a more interesting. When's 1 busy? Okay, they won't be able to grab the second and put out of it. I just need to add 1 atom on the correct cycle, because the centerpiece of the unstable compound has 10 different bonding steps to make, so it's also limiting reactant. So you can't miss any bonds. It has to be bonded every single cycle to something correctly. So the earliest I could get a new atom there is on cycle 4. So in theory, I can do a new bond on cycle 4. But in practice, maybe not so easy. So those have to bond immediately. Which means there has to be a triplex bonder either here or here. My plan for the final cycle requires it actually be here. So either 3 or 7 has to pivot it, the other atom, into this spot next cycle. And if it does that, then it's at a really weird angle for trying to bond in the future. Because I would need to get this directly into here, which doesn't exist. That's not an option. That takes 2 cycles, and I can't do that. Okay, 7 can take over, and I can do this. 3 actually does drop. I'm going to make it 3 and 4 so that I can not have to pan the screen to get to it. So that does... It needs to be the blue one that I'm adding last. It's kind of a weak as far as this goes. Yeah, but it does do the thing. Okay, so 8 did it on that cycle. I would like another arm on a track here to do it 2 cycles later. To get it to this point. So that would look like this. Right, I have this sitting here. Can it be avoided? I can't piggyback the track if I have that glyph there. But to my knowledge, that's kind of a necessary position. I can work around it. No, I can't. If I work around it, the input has to sit here, and that does change how everything else so far has happened. Okay. If I rotate first and then pivot, I just crash. Because 9 has to grab. The goal for 9 is to get this to this. And the other way of doing that is it requires being where 3 is, and 3 is not about to move. Okay, what if 9 doesn't exist? What if 3 does that job? Is there a way to bond to that on this cycle? I'll just assume I should be setting aside something with 1 right now. Because I will need to get a piece here. Although, I can't put calcification there because that's where fire is going to pass in the end. Okay. So 8 and 4 can both safely pivot on this cycle, and I think I'll have 4 drop, 8 pivot. And that still keeps us cycle optimal. But unless I'm bonding where this atom is right now, next cycle I'm not optimal anymore. Can that be done? I feel like if it can be done, it's with something up here. Alright, 8 doesn't have to pivot, 8 can just advance. Nine grabs the second one and just casually spins it twice. 9 doesn't grab the second one from there. 9 has a little bit sillier of a job. So I know it's preferable to be holding it by the center. So I should rethink this and have 3 hold and rotate and 4 not do that. Because I'm realizing as I'm holding it by the edge, I will have to do some weird finagling to get it over all these triplexes at the right time. So let's drop the track under 4. 4 just moves and drops. Maybe goes back for seconds. 8 has its 1 track. Because 1 track is important. 3 will rotate. Other way. Pivot that way. No, pivot that way. I'm really hurting by not being able to get an atom into place in time. Only 2 cycles to do it. I don't have options. Next thought, what if 3 doesn't pivot on its first move? What if it slides? Then it can pivot next move and slide back as 8 joins. That's cycle optimal still and has something holding it in the middle. And I will put an arm on a track there and mindfully start it there. So TF G R blah blah. That collides. Oh, that's some garbage. That is some salty garbage. I feel like, okay, now that's on the second half. If I had done it from here, it doesn't collide, and I know that much. But that's not useful to me. It's plenty useful to me, actually. It's funny, but it'll be useful. Well, I should reverse the direction at least. That's an advance. That'll do 1 more advance. Eight drops. Nine's early. But that's fine, it has just enough time with this setup. Okay, that's one of the hotter garbages of this. It's a collision at the end of its rope. I could run numbers right now to see how close they come. Been testing out what the limits are. It's fine, I can do this. There's the last potential okay way of doing things. There, this should work. No wait, that's why that's early again. Okay, so 1 is now not allowed to do what it's doing. It can't grab that input, which is fine. It has a better job already. Its job is to finish the thing. 2 yellows to make still. My goal is to put this atom in this position in 1 cycle. Where the bonders currently are will not permit that. Is there any new bond I can make? It would have to be centered there and do a pivot as its last move. No, that wouldn't even work. I think I'm doomed from this point if I choose that. How the heck do I get all 10 bonds made and have it finish in the right point? Because the plan was for the last bond to be this blue one. And at that point all 3 have blue bonds already, so there's no new thing to do with that last cycle. Okay, backing up, looking at these 2 as is. There is a sequence of 3 moves that happens pretty late that can save it. So assuming I have a fully bonded 3 reds and this configuration, I attach here, slide, pivot. That adds a yellow, a red, and a blue in perfect timing. And 3 can do that. Attach, slide, pivot. That's a cycle early. Will that be doable? Using make-believe. Just pretending that what we have here is actually a complete 3 bond. So 2, 3, 3 has to drop. We're on pony cycle loop now, boys. Did 8 not drop? Why is it doing that? 7 dropped, 3 is dropped. Oh, 3 grabs right again next cycle, that's why. Three can't do that. So even if it's totally kosher to do that. And okay, so it's 8. 8 has to do it. So even if it has another loop, the other arm can't be in that place at that time because 3 is busy on the very first cycle. So an arm that looks like 8 might even be 8. And by 8 I mean 7 now because I deleted one. Okay, 7. It's going to grab on this cycle. Bug. We're going to be even more lax with our wishful thinking. Okay, so that's a full plate of 10 instructions. Well, 9 actually, because the pivot's half. 3, you're no longer busy. That's why we do it in that order. One, 2, 3. Alright. There is no way for there to be a fully bonded triplet there. Oh wait, yeah, I mean, you have an extra cycle, because it's going to make that bond that cycle. Okay, we're still good, still good. I'll assume now it doesn't have to be there anymore because 3 will have a job. That it can be handled something like this. I just stick a third triplex bonder there. Probably the other orientation. Alright, that would work. I just need a red on it somehow. Okay, so in my head right now, scenario 3 drops it. I'm 1 cycle early. I need this to somehow take 2 cycles to get one more place down and have the intermediate cycle pass it over a red triplex. And translating only one cycle gives you two options, and both of them do not translate it over a red triplex, so no dice there. The other option is instead of a pivot, 9 does a full swing. Which currently does not work. Does not mean it doesn't get to work ever. Which arm is this? 5. Yeah, I've kind of relied on that working, so that's an issue. Yeah, okay, so the pivot had merit. It's just... Okay, now I would be getting a yellow. So if I just burn a cycle, I lose cycle optimal. But at least get to see if the end of it so far works. Who's holding it? Who's not allowed to be holding it? 7, did you not drop? Seven is slated to drop, but 3 slated to grab, and I haven't fixed it. Alright, I like that. I like how it looks almost complete. That would be dropping it on cycle 13, which is cycle optimal, which is correct. I am just missing a bond on this middle one. Also the obvious, I'm missing this, but that's just because I haven't made a path for that atom. The biggest issue is the lack of path that gives me the right number of bonds. So if instead of assuming the final thing is a translation, I assume the final thing is a whole swing. I only get to come from above, though. I don't really have the opportunity to hold it from a different angle. That works. It's ugly as all get out, but it works. I have this beautiful track shape, 4 triplex bonders. So it's actually going to be best to make that 2 tracks, because I want this one to actually just look like that. There's my 2 translations that happen to pass over the right things. There we go. We have a complete middle. And it's either going to force me to have huge area or huge costs. We're going to go with huge area. Alright, so I have 3 missing atoms, but all the bonds are right on the limiting middle one. So I'm missing the second atom out of this input. And the 4th atom out of this input. I'm only missing 2 atoms. I can handle the second atom out of this one quite a bit of time just to get it to there. I mean, that just takes me putting an arm here. Two is busy. Two's not so busy that it couldn't do this. I would love to make this a triangle track. I'm afraid that'll collide with what 4 is dropping off. Nope, doesn't collide. Okay. We're about to do it. It's about to be a 63 with this beautiful spinning arm on top. 3, 4. Okay, the only issue with this is that this won't get to use this glyph unless I do some funky business, and I don't think I get to do any funky business, just because of the path 5 takes. That just means I have to make another glyph. Alright, if this doesn't work, we'll have to be a little bit more clever, but oops. 1, 2. No, it works. Alright. Why did it 10? 10, I have to instruct you to return to your original position, don't I? Okay, right now if I hit space, I think it works. Okay, no, I didn't instruct all of them to loop properly. That's when 6 does it. Yay, it worked. Alright, it's maybe the cheapest 63 that's been made. I made it though. When did I get a 490? Oh gosh, it was probably one of my cheat solutions. Yeah, I won't count that. This is a legit solution. Alright, 535, 63, 121. The previous record comes in at 545, 63, 79. So as expected, me having to have this 9 arm that goes 6 directions is an area catastrophe. And to cut the area back down, I would add a lot of cost, so I'm cheaper only just barely. The best thing for me to do right now would be to look for arms that have a lot of empty time and have their functions combined. So what can 8 do during its last? Can't really move that way. Eleven's final translation thing is very important. That it come from that direction. So that I'm happy that these 4 glyphs work, but it would be nice if there was a 3 glyph layout that also worked. I just don't see it yet. Like, I could totally see a scenario in which it works to do it very differently. Okay, timing is limited on so many different things here. Yeah, because it's not actually complete. I get you. There's gotta be a way. But 9 has to do those first 3 motions. And I've only been able to see those next 3 motions working. Has to be a pivot by 9, and then it has to be 2 translations by whatever's holding it, but since it just pivoted, there can be nothing else holding it. I can't make it a piston, can I? Because it has to be at length 3 for that. Yeah, no, can't make it a piston and save anything. I can't really merge it with 8. That would cost me 1, 2, 3 tracks. 8's only busy in the beginning, though, and 9 can get there in time. No, it can't. It takes 2 more cycles to get there, even if it's a 6 arm. As is. So it'd be positioned here, and it would have to do 1, 2, 3, 4 actions in 1 cycle, so no. And meanwhile, 8, 1, 2, 3, has 1, 2, 3, 4. So 8 could get to there, so it would be 3 arms on a circle of track. And a 30 cycle loop to save some area. The price would be 560 instead of the 535, and there would be 3 times as many instructions, all to save some area. Not gonna do that yet. I'll look for other ways. I'll kill 4. From what it looks like. Four is doing an entirely redundant thing given that 2 actually is on a track. Yeah, 4 is, well, not 3, 4 is not useful. Yeah, okay, 515. Right, 5 is doing 6 actions, so it's more than 50% used. 4 is busy all time. This one's doing 5 actions, so it's pretty underused. 8's busy the whole time, which is sad because it doesn't get to rotate back. 7's doing 6 actions, 2 of which are dodges. I see what I could do. I could cut that. I could have 7 go like that. I could do that. And I would make the calcination here. Oh, it has the same issue as I was hoping to avoid. Damn it. Because I can't do that earlier. can only pass through the input on cycles where the input is being moved in that direction. So as a result, I can't expect any amount of other ways to get pieces into place. So that sucks. So we gotta make 10 a little busier. Is there any way at all to do it? I would need it to translate on its second to last move. I don't see other options. Because if it translates and translates back, which is the obvious thing, it's late. It has to be there one cycle later, not two. And 4 can't do the rotation before the translation because then it just doesn't calcify. Well, it is true that 7 doesn't need to be on the track if 9, 8 goes in this order. Buys us just so much more time. No, there's no way to save cost at this. Gosh, there's not a point at which I can attach that that isn't in this location. Alright, there's an option. I put this here. And arm on a track here. How much does that put me at? 510. Still a record. Now I'll see if it works. Yep. New record. 510. 63, 117. There's the issue of that area. It's pretty darn big. Honestly, I'm not saving cost making 7 do more. I could do this in 505 without any issue. Let's move some of the task back to the out arm. Now I have a goal of beating 490 in cost because I have to knock any of my legitimate solutions off the records. And this came out pretty clean. There's 10 cycle loop only, so there isn't a second arm following that takes the same things.